Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Gray, and this is another episode of the Gray F podcast. And today we're doing something a little different. I got to restart.
That's okay. He's busy drinking wine, but he's got Rad over here. I've been on the podcast a few times myself, but we're gonna try something a little bit different today, and let's see how we go.
Before we start, I just gotta point out to the guys that it's probably like Homeland News that I have to repeat on every episode. But if you want to support the podcast, the best way to do it, subscribe on iTunes and write me a 5-star review. It helps that I can keep going and I can sustain it. And this podcast got no ads. I don't advertise anything because I want it to be authentic as possible without any political or financial interventions or interest. So the best way to do it, support the podcast. Subscribe and
share it, post it, whatever.
Come on, share with your friends and family and stuff like that. Because this thing started as an experiment. Now it became my life now. That I have to do it all the time. But it's cool. So what we're doing today, we're doing a Quora episode. For the guys that do not know what Quora is, it's sort of a website where people post questions, and the folks that are more knowledgeable in that specific subject tend to answer them. So you can ask a question related to Bill Gates, for example, or
it's literally any subject.
Any subject
you want.
Yeah, and then if it's very personal, the actual person would come and actually answer you.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, you're gonna get people from all over the world trying to answer the question different ways. So it's a good way to source information.
Absolutely. A lot of people do it for research, I see, which is exciting.
That's quite exciting.
So, what episodes have you been on? Just to give
the first few, if I remember correctly, the one was on couchsurfing. That was the first one I joined in.
Yeah.
There was another one on being in your 20s and having fun and seeing what the meaning of success and life was. Yeah. And the third one, I think we did an interview with Cariss on her TLC, TLC broadcast as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually been quite fun.
Cool. I'll put all the links to all the episodes in the description for guys listening. They can check it out. The wine tastes good. I don't know what's going to happen by the end of the night for me.
This is a way to ensure you get good answers for Quora questions.
Because most of them can be awkward sometimes. Right. So, man. What's happening? What has been happening with the week, and what's the weekly plan so far?
Weekly plan?
Yeah.
My weekly plan's always busy. Trying to get as much shit done as possible. I'm busy from work and couchsurfing, meeting up with new people, sport. So it's sort of trying to keep it as fluid as possible, never slowing down. That's my plan. And then traveling plans, always in the background. So that's a must for the next few months. Yeah.
So, if you're still doing couchsurfing, I haven't been active for a very long time, considering that now I have to move out of my current house. Find a new one.
So I've been trying, but I think I've still been doing it, probably not to the same degree, but we're still meeting up with a lot of people. The community's still strong. There's still a lot of, it'll probably pick up again during summertime. I suppose winter in Cape Town, it starts to slow down. There's not as many travelers, but we're still doing a lot on the weekends. There's meetups, there's hikes, there's activities, quite random activities, it could be going to a trampoline park or whatever it might be. There's a lot of stuff to do. So we keep going, and the guys are still cool. We've known each other for some time now, and
cool. I have a note of exactly what we must talk about before we start the Quora stuff. I'm just gonna get it now. But you traveling to Europe, just give people some hints, and those who want to meet you perhaps.
Oh, sweet. So I'm be in Europe soon. Whole idea is to visit, do a little European city hopping tour. Also been quite lucky to head to Tomorrowland, and for those of you who don't know what Tomorrowland is, it's a massive music festival in Belgium. It's pretty epic. Look it up on Facebook, Google, see the pictures.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I'm quite excited. I've never been either, so looking forward to meeting up with some friends from different countries, but also meeting up with some of these couchsurfers that I hosted in South Africa, and then I get to see them where, in Germany or Prague or wherever I might be. So Europe's gonna be epic, it's gonna be sweet, it's gonna be different this time around. So that's definitely a plus. Yeah.
I might be in Europe as well, but in Norway, Oslo. hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's gonna be exciting as well.
Sweet.
And probably in Austria as well. But you know,
That's my
it's all
favorite, yeah.
it's all plans in the air.
Yeah.
My schedule is not that
That's the
flexible.
cool part. I mean, you can just travel wherever you want, like hop on trains and
Yeah,
stuff. It's
yeah,
so easy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I was actually, well, yeah. The first thing I want to discuss, it'll probably take 2 minutes. That if you folks have been asking is a reflection of what has changed for me with the podcast. The simplest answer I can give to that is that nothing. Well, a lot has changed. You know, like I said, this thing started as an experiment with couchsurfers. I was in my house, just decided to do like, you know, I want to start a podcast and talk about everything. And then the first few guests were couchsurfers, and then it just grew to what it is now. That, you know, people are listening in pretty much across the world. So what has changed? You know, it grew my network so much. It added restrictions to my life, just like I have to post an episode every week regardless. So that's like one of the things. Other than that, I just learned so much from people, you know, just chatting to people. Recently I was in Namibia. I had fun there just because of the podcast and stuff. So I think that's one has changed. I've become more wiser to a few subjects that are...
Yeah, no, the cool part's the nature of your podcast. They're a bit more in depth. They've got more interesting people. It's not so random as much. You've got to actually do a little bit of research before.
Right.
Keeps your mind active.
Yeah,
that's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Unlike just, you know, the normal ramblings with friends and so, which can also be fun, but I think a podcast structures your thinking a lot more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. And also, you know, I actually appreciate the listeners because it just means that there are people actually who have the same interests as mine. That it's so rare for now at the moment to see people who can engage in a broader conversation or subject. You know, because everything right now is like 3 minutes online YouTube video or whatever thing.
Yeah, so it's like the way things are structured. Sort of like you want to know everything, but you don't want to know it in depth. You want you want a narrow sense of knowledge, and like podcast forces you to like ask questions and forces you to dig deeper.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope like all the listeners are like having ideas of what do they want to hear about, what do they want to be thinking about, what are the questions they have. So that's your idea.
One thing actually I can ask to the listeners is the only thing this podcast is lacking right now is online conversation, where I get people emailing me about their thoughts, but it would be great if people would comment what they think.
Like almost like a live chat whilst you're doing the podcast, like someone posting questions. That'd be
pretty much something like that.
Yeah.
And one thing that we want to jump into, it's learning. Quick, before we start the Quora issue, do learning. How do you approach learning new things? Because, you know, I added a marker there that said soccer, because I know how you got into playing football, freestyle soccer. What was the story behind that?
The story behind football freestyling, which you guys can also look up. I mean, it's like this. It's probably the weirdest yet most beneficial thing I ever did. So football freestyling is the guys who like to football tricks. They can catch a ball at their neck and chest and whatever it might be. And a few guys of mine at school, about more than 10 years ago, we saw a video. We were like, okay, let's just try this shit. And managed to get it. Became a bit of an obsession. Yeah. And I don't know.
But what was your deepest motivation?
The motivation was to master it, because you thought you could get around it, you could conquer it in some way to another, right? And it's something that perhaps it's not always about doing the things that you are absolutely good at, right? Because those things can come a bit easier to you, right? If you're good at maths and you study a lot of mathematical things, then it makes sense that you're going to get good at them. But you do something slightly out of your zone and you conquer it, then you start to broaden your skill set. And more importantly, like, you can apply that sort of thinking to anything. Like, if you want to get involved, you can put your mind to it and get something. But the reward is longer term. So you don't know where it's going to benefit you. So like, if I had to use football freestyling as an example, for example, then playing other sports becomes simpler because you're more confident. You coordinated, etc. But you don't know that initially, right?
Oh yeah, it's
right?
very
like, it's because you've done it now. It makes I master that. Surely I can pull off another thing. So yeah.
Wow. Did you play soccer?
Played at school and five-a-side currently, but.
Before the freestyling or
not as much. I did play it socially and stuff, but actually I was more into like stuff like tennis and other sports. So freestyling was on the side.
Were you trying to prove anything?
I never saw it like that. But the funniest part, what I did see is that later on, I saw it as people. They would say, but no, but that's unexpected. Like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fit in with anything else that I do. Like
expectations.
The expectations of people, right? Like, it's like, well, I mean, okay, I can get you, you more like the academic, you do all of that shit, and, you can play piano, that makes sense. But then you tell them you see with football, you're like, but that doesn't fit in as easily. But that's the coolest part.
Yeah.
When you do something like sort of like, it makes people makes people look at you differently, but it makes you look at yourself differently as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was the motivation. Motivation was always just, I want to do it. I want to figure out how I can do this. Yeah.
That's the same thing that happens with me and rapping. I would.
Oh, okay.
The other day he was asking me, so is the new passion now making music?
Yeah, no, I was wondering, you're composing tunes and like I heard all these beats.
Yeah,
I'm like wondering what's going on.
It's like sometimes I just feel like that, then I want to express myself differently and I just have to obsess with that. That's how I feel in the moment. Right now, would I do it again today? I don't think so, because I feel a little different. But it's one of those things where if I say, oh, I made a song today, and I don't make it for anyone, but if people hear it, they're like, oh, you do that as well? Where did that come from?
But one more thought on learning. Generally, when you're learning, time seems to slow down a lot more.
Right, that's absolutely true.
That's one thing. So when you ever feel like things are going way too fast, it's generally because you're in a nice little comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like you're flowing.
Yeah.
Things seem easy, but if you think back to like when you're in school and stuff, things slow down because you were in this constant phase of trying to learn.
Yes.
So you want to slow down things, get yourself into a zone where you're like a little bit more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Something that's a bit not as obvious to you. Probably means you're actually getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever it might be. And also remember, like, unfortunately, once you leave school, this capacity for learning starts to drop off very quickly, right?
Tell me about it.
So, like, you get involved in all the stuff where you're in your zone half the time. So where do you find time to grow a little bit, right? And you are learning at work and whatever, but you're learning the things that are sort of coming to you a lot more naturally now.
Yes.
Whereas not learning the things that are sort of slightly out of where not your strengths necessarily lie, but your skill set can still get you there, but you don't engage it as much. So that's a big part.
That's actually true. One of the things that I noticed about growth at work, to me personally, was that you tend to grow on a new job. On any kind of job is different. You can have the same title, but if you go to a different company, new environment, it's going to be different. So every company have their own way of operating. But my observation has been that on the very first 6 months on the job, you learn a lot. After that 6 months, it becomes, the learning curve kind of flattens. Then it just kind of becomes, like you said, you get used to things, or the things that come are always in your lane where you can control a little bit. That's what I noticed. So I made a rule to say I will never work for the same company for more than 6 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which I sort of did. I sort of did that because I'm still working with one company for over a year now, but not exclusively. So but how do you approach learning yourself? Like, do you have a strategy on how you learn new things, or?
I suppose you just isolate things that you wanna get done in the year. It never really always goes according to plan. Unfortunately, things are in flux.
Yeah.
You have broad goals, like it's maybe books that you want to complete, a new skill that you want to pick up.
Yeah.
The aim is to narrow it down, focus it on a few things, as opposed to having, which I'm bad at sometimes. Like you have a long list of shit, but you can't.
Yeah.
You'll never get through it. Like you gotta pinpoint a few things that you want to get involved into and go for it. That's the way I would do it, and that's the way, based on like the last few years, I realized that's the only way really to do it. If you spread yourself to it, then you only get the narrowness. You only go in a little bit, and you don't fully immerse yourself. Yeah.
What are the books that had a huge impact in your life?
Jeez, that's a broad question.
Because you have so many books.
I enjoy reading, but I think it's not so much like a particular type of book. No, I enjoy stuff like science and history, whatever it might be, but it's books that maybe challenge your thinking a little bit. Books on, philosophy and religion, those are different. They make you think differently. Books on how humans have developed over time, on your biases and why you think the way you think, like Malcolm Gladwell, those sort of authors. Not to say I've been reading as much recently. I mean, I've sort of like fallen behind, to be honest. But those are some of the coolest books I've read. Maybe like a Malcolm Gladwell, David and Goliath book. That was rather interesting. Sort of like the advantages of disadvantages and disadvantages of advantages, right? Like it spins things on its head a little bit. Other books just generically like books that everyone should read. Maybe like To Kill a Mockingbird or something. It's a classic. It's been around. You read it every so often and you learn something new. But I think the aim is not so much picking out books. It's just to be continuously reading, engaging, and also reading stuff that you're not necessarily well versed in. Reading things that are different to you, even stuff that you don't agree with sometimes. But you've got to filter a lot of stuff out there at the moment. So
you're right. Right now it's really hard. I don't even know how do you block all the negativity, because that's reading is one thing to me. I mean, I'm jealous that you have a huge collection of books than I do in like physical books, because you have hard copies. I have so much software ebooks, but I still like want to have a feeling of a shared bookshelf in the house, but it's impossible at the moment. And I'm buying books more than I can read them, which is absolutely so sad. So it seems like everybody's struggling with the time management thing. On like, how do you?
I think, time management is a function of managing yourself first. You have to give yourself space.
Right. But on books, I can say that, I mean, what I use now, well, people always ask me, for example, how do you listen to, I listen to so many podcasts, and people will be like, how do you find the time to listen to all these podcasts? But like, if you think about it, you can download and put them into a bunch of time where you're not most active. Like if I'm walking or driving somewhere, I use Uber a lot these days. So if I'm in an Uber, I just put in my headphones and listen, If you're doing your laundry or whatever you're doing, sometimes it's just like, I plug books in the same category because now I use audiobooks on Amazon. So I still read, I think, as much more than most people, because I don't have to sit and read like that all the time.
Yeah, you just optimize it where you can.
Yeah.
Got to do it. Alright.
Cool. I think,
Let's tackle these Quora.
Let's go into Quora. Right.
This is going to be fun, anyways.
So the first question, so we're not going to go into the answers that other people gave in Quora. We might out of interest, but let's start. You can read from there.
Yeah, I can read.
Okay, so the first one says,
what is
the saddest part of your life you never told anyone? There you go, right? You start?
The saddest part of my life that I never told anything. So, the first part is that I don't want to think about that because I want to think about all the happy shit first. Now I have to think about sad things. Sad things. Jeez. No, this is tough. For the last 5 years I've been trying to like be positive about shit. Like this is not a question I want to dwell on too long. Okay.
But it's a question, so we're not going to dodge questions. Right?
Yeah, okay, fine. I get it. What I would say is most sad. Maybe. For me, okay, one thing, so one of the people who sort of got me in a lot of ways, like one of my uncles who taught me a lot, it's a lot of backing behind maths, the pathway I took for career. But he was also just really good. He also read a lot. But I suppose the one thing is that he sort of passed away. And he's one of the people that sort of was, subtly shaping things in a way for me. And like why I chose a certain career path or some of the things I've done. And he's not really
Yeah, just give it a perspective. What exactly?
So like for example, I was always like I was always good at maths, but he also used to study this stuff at university, and he was pretty inspirational because he was in a wheelchair for most of his years after 20.
Okay. Oh,
right.
That's not good.
So the thing is, like, you could say like, well, you should be sad if you're in a wheelchair, but he was complete converse. He took it on and studied some of these, quite technical math, stats course, these actuarial things. But also when I was growing up, then I was always like, he used to sort of, push you and sort of like you could talk to him about all these things, challenge you on the maths, develop your skills. So by the time when you're getting older, you're sort of like, oh, these are like potential career paths for you.
You just give people exactly what you and
so I did actuarial science at university, and trying to finish off these exams, but it's like it's quite a statistical mathematical course, but a big part of that was having people in earlier years who, and I suppose one thing is maybe he doesn't get to see what happens to you, but it's one of those things, unfortunately.
Well, that's very sad, man. I'm really sorry. Should we jump to the next question?
Yep. You're not going to answer it, I see. I see that, yeah, but it's okay, it's fine.
Okay, I can answer it. Let me see. It's pretty much the same to your story, but it's my mother passed away when I was 18.
Okay.
Which is very sad for me.
Just as you're entering.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same of like she got me into the mindset that I sort of have. Yeah, she it was very sad for me when I was younger because I used to, I developed a little differently from most kids, so it's like when I was in school, all my school life, primary and secondary, I was the youngest student, you see, and so the treatment was a little bit different because I was like, couldn't fit in those spaces. So most people lacked confidence in me in terms of like what their expectations, including teachers sometimes. But like my mother gave me a lot of confidence. I mean, she gave me a lot of responsibility than the average person had at that time, at that age. So that exposed me to like a lot of things. My thinking was a little bit ahead for my age, if you know what I mean, that kind of thing. And so it's so sad that nothing happened in a year at the moment, but it's just so sad that she don't get to witness what's happening now.
Yeah, that is sad. But I mean, you show both stories. The one thing is that you show a lot of resolve afterwards. And you get
absolutely.
Yeah. Next question.
That's
an easier question.
Yeah, please, it has to be easy. Okay, which PC brand is the best? The guy asking the question is Shen Tennant, and he thinks it's HP.
Jeez, good lord, where does this person come from? Anyways, jeez, it's a silly question. Firstly, not PC brand, but it's like, what are you using the PC for?
Yeah,
that's the first question. Is it gaming, visual, just basic nonsense?
Yes.
I mean, like, obviously we all know if you can do like graphic design and all this stuff, then Apple's.
Well, you could say that. I think it's the market popular value. It's in the Mac market.
Yeah, exactly. Right, but I mean, if you're just an average user, then you can be quite indifferent between a lot of them. But anyways, I have a, what do I have? I have an old like Packard Bell laptop, right? And it's fine because I just need to run a few things off it, right? I don't know. I haven't really been following it, but like I suppose currently most people would go with Apple because of the the quality. It links in nicely with all your other products, particularly if you've got an iPhone, etc., which makes sense. I think there is a Chromebook as well. That's from Google, but I haven't actually played around with that.
It's a bunch of bullshit at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know.
I'll answer it differently. I'll answer it as for. Not technically for a specific reason, like for a specific domain, but like for the average person who just want to email and all these kind of things and listen to music, I would say Apple. Mac is a very good. I'm a nerd. I'm a computer nerd. I grew up with computers, but I would say that Mac for the average person, I mean, I use Apple for laptop only. You know, my desktops, I have like so many, a number of desktops. But for laptop wise, for example, I use Apple because for the basic things, it's really easy, you know, and it's beautiful. The interface is pretty adaptable and user friendly for a lot of things. So I would say Apple is the best, you know, at the moment. Somebody might have a different opinion, but if you're really technical, like myself, probably, then I would say PC is the best because there's so much you can do. And the next question, maybe let's go to a different Quora tab.
Okay.
Because these ones are a little bit irrelevant. This one is also irrelevant, but it's funny. It's like, why is Obama such a loser? Is it possible to do well in all major areas of life?
Jeez. Depends how you define what is doing well, but let's just say it's probably very personal. So I think it's increasingly harder as you add more elements into it, right? But you know, you start off, you know, school, university, by yourself, you're studying one thing, and maybe you start like juggling a few things, you get a family, and now you got to manage more than just yourself, right? You got kids, family, and I don't know about that stuff yet. So like, it's kind of interesting to say like, we're doing well in all major areas of life. What are the major areas of life? Is it to be?
That's true. That's a very good question.
What is it to be good at work? Is it to be good with your family? Is it to dedicate more time to them? Make sure your kids grow up in the right way. How do you evaluate these things? So, for me, I think it's possible to have a good balance in all of them. Definitely. I think all of them are complementary. Definitely as well. So, like, you know, being balanced in yourself, whether it's spiritual, mental, family, work, and all of that. But you know, some people would say doing well means you go really in depth into one of them sometimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right? I met
a
GP. Just sorry to cut you off, but I met a GP, a general practitioner last week. Or actually, this week on Monday. He was asking about what I do, and we had a conversation about a few things, because we want to do some business together. But then he said something like, he believes that you have to specify one thing and just be really good at it. That's what then the other parts of your life kind of simplify themselves.
And I mean, it's also interesting. Like, if you look at a lot of the guys, like, you know, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, like, they always say what's been the key success. They always say it's focus, and focus means focusing on one thing. Yeah. So it's sort of like contradictory to maybe a bit of this question here. It's trying to do well in everything. You know, we all know, quite realistically, that is hard.
Is it the 10,000 hours?
Yeah, it's related, but like, you know, that takes a long time in any case.
But do you think that's still relevant today? To spend a lot of focus on really one thing at the moment? Because I think there's a lot of disruption at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of disruption, but I think within that disruption it breeds new opportunities, etc. Yes. And like, there's a lot of opportunities that are not well explored yet, or not well understood.
Yes.
And so people still need to delve into it. You need to spend a lot of time trying to unpack it. Whether it's what does social media risk really mean? What does it really mean to say? Yeah. Like, we all have these opinions about it. Oh yeah, it's false news. It's narrowness of learning. It's psychology of people and how they impacted, how they get addicted. But does anyone really know what the long? Nobody really knows what the long. We all have these ideas about it, right? No one really knows. There's lots of stuff that are new and emerging, like, definitely to get involved in. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, okay, before I get there, I was listening to a podcast on A16Z on Andreessen Horowitz. So there was a question: what does technology really mean at the moment, or does anybody, one person, understand what's going on? And the answer is no, because, you know, it's like, it's a huge thing of little building blocks where anybody is contributing indirectly or directly, and then when the whole thing is completed, you don't really understand what's going on. You just know that it works.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And I mean, technology is used globally. Is technology used to enhance Okay, so like human endeavor, becoming more efficient, and
Even though today,
like providing whatever. But then there's technology used to enhance countries where they're still trying to make the most basic steps. They haven't had, they're not developed yet, but they use technology to get them out of basic endeavors.
it's
Like,
like problem
for example,
solving.
like countries that don't have banks,
Yeah.
they use their phones. They almost like bypass a step using technology.
Absolutely.
Right? So, yeah, technology today is like, it's firstly, it's global. Everyone contributes, whether you developed or emerging. I think broadly, I would say it's to try and make things more efficient. Whether that efficiency is actually more beneficial to you or not is a very good question. Because like people always feel as though like because I can access information quicker, because I can see things on Facebook and Twitter, therefore it's better. But what is better really mean in this sense? There's a nice little video of I think it was Denzel Washington where he goes, one of the journalists asked him a question. She's like, okay, well, what do you make of media? Well, it's or news, and he's like, well, if you don't listen to the news, you're uninformed. If you do listen to the news, then you're misinformed. So what do you do? Problem is with news that it's about being first and not about being truthful. So like, you're a bit of a problem. Like,
that's a big one, right?
It's a big problem, right? So you wonder, like, well, the reason why this has happened because there's so many of these feeds out there. People want to push information at you as quickly as possible. And
we were talking about this at the Fat Cactus last weekend. We were saying it's like you have this whole social media thing going on, whereas it's a good thing, I have to say. Facebook has a mission to keep the world connected, for example. They're doing that, but they're also doing other things unintentionally, I think. Whereas you can say, okay, this is social media, the world is connected, but then the question would be, do you want everything that's coming out of there as a person on a personal level? Probably not.
And I mean also like what type of connection is it? Like the thing is like I think we all of us know it's like it's not like a deep friendship connection for a lot of these things. It's like, it's a lot more like superficial, high level in some ways.
Okay.
And you develop the connections that develop on Facebook are different right, to being in a small social group of friends.
I personally see that as a part of evolution.
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay, we have been
fair enough.
Our connections have been personal, but maybe we just have to change to this one coming because I think it will become even more deeper than that with VR coming. My biggest worry is that everybody is hyped about social media and the internet, thinking that these companies have their best interest in them, whereas the company's focus is making profit. Like the core focus on all these social media companies, they spend a lot of money to get the best engineers, psychologists, to get people's attention. That's what they sell, right? So they're not sitting behind saying, well, we're trying to make your life better. They're sitting there like, how can we get the most interest so that we can generate more leads and then we make more money out of it. But like on the outside, everybody's like, oh, Facebook is good and Instagram and all that, as if these people are sitting behind serving their best interest when it's actually the opposite. Very sad. We're gonna jump to the next question. Are humans the only species that intentionally aborts pregnancies? I'll say to this one quickly. I don't have the facts, so I'm not gonna comment.
I don't have the facts, but I would guess probably yes. We can't. Which other species can do it? I don't know. Unless they have their own defenses, but I don't know.
It's hard to know. Maybe dolphins do it already.
I don't know. I have no clue. But I would say to be on the side of caution. I would say probably we are the only ones who can intentionally do it.
So the question was, what's your opinion on the human species?
That's too broad a question, but anyways.
I have my own opinion.
I have opinions, but I think most of them are going to be like quite wrong. In any ways. Like parts of it are right and parts of it are wrong because they're like so broad.
That's a good observation. I think for the most part, I am impressed. Right, every night these days, I sort of look at the world from my window. I look at the city, and I see a plane flying, and all the lights and everything, man. Like if you think about it, just 300 years we didn't have those things. A lot of them, So for the progress that we have done in the very few last centuries, it's really impressive, man.
Yeah.
We're like
I mean, like, so without a doubt.
I mean, we have made mistakes, obviously.
Over the last 100 years, like.
Oh, 100 years.
Like if you read any sort of historical book or book on how the humans have progressed with technological innovation and endeavor, lengthening our lifespans, curing disease, whatever. Like, so there's been a lot of upside, with the gains that we've made to the broader society. But I think the one thing with us is that we tend to overestimate a lot of times, like our successes. So they are successes.
But the thing is, there's no alternative to compare them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a hard part.
Like, that's a very difficult comparison. It's always like, well, you want to say, well, surely that's a good thing.
The thing is, the only comparison we can do it with the chimps. With other animals.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's the best comparison.
Yeah, exactly. Then we're gonna go into far other issues. So let's not even go there. But like, I agree. Like, our own benchmark is ourselves, right? And we compare ourselves to like, well, how was the world a few thousand years ago? We were more, not to say like there's no war, but we were more barbaric. There was more disease and all of these things. So like, we managed to extend those things, get rid of them.
Yeah.
So therefore, you would say, if you looked at it in that way, you'd say, well, surely we've made a lot of progress, right? Yeah. And then the other way is saying it, well, how do you know whether the progress is actually going to be good for everyone? And that gets very complicated.
Okay.
Because like you can only evaluate like the success of the decision like maybe another 50 years later on.
But
so
look, nature, if you go to the basics of nature, anything is positive. There's no negative. At the end of the day, because that's how evolution happens. Everything is okay at the end of the day. So I understand the question of saying, has the progress been good for the future, or what's going to happen next?
Yeah,
I think that's a question for like, if we end up blowing ourselves up, that's fine also.
So like, so was that great then or not? Like, it's like, is our progress our own downside or our upside? And like, and in a lot of instances, it's been both, right? There's been a lot of good, and you'd want to argue that there's been more good than bad, right? But you can't completely ignore the bad either, right? There's been a lot of crap that's around.
But at the same time, look, we're figuring these things as we go. Yeah. So it's like, when do we realize something was bad? It's after a while, like you say, 50 years later, we more aware.
Yeah, no, it comes back to like certain things, like what we've developed in the last 20 years with tech stuff, whatever, cars, environment. Yeah. Those broad global issues where everyone has a vested interest in it. Everyone knows that it's a consequence of us being here, and at the same time, the stuff that we've done, the measures that we've taken have helped benefit us. But they are adverse. There are other consequences to our progress, right? And the question is whether the consequences eventually outweigh any further progress that could be made. And I don't know. Like, I don't know whether that's now. It's a very, very, like, some people have strong views on it. I don't know enough to have a strong view on it. I just want to say, well, how could you actually judge it in one go? And it's complex. There's 7 billion people in the world. It's complex. It's not going to be something that just you can answer in one go.
What do you think of universal basic income? Like, it's a subject right now, especially
like socialism.
It's not really socialism at the end of the day, I think. Well, you could call it that, but for the most developed countries at the moment, that's the subject where we're losing jobs because of automation and technology.
Yeah.
So what's next?
I don't know. I don't think we've ever been motivated by doing nothing. And
so the
idea of like getting just an income. I'm just gonna get an income. But what motivates you? What do you get up in the morning for? Like, whether it was in your prehistoric time, you woke up in the morning because you knew I don't know, you're a hunter gatherer, you take care of kids and make sure they're fine. If you're a hunter, you've got to go, as a man, you have to go and hunt. Like, there's basic human tenets, facets about us that don't really change, right? Do you just how do you undo that? You can't. I don't think those things just fall away. I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced about an argument like that. I don't think people are as motivated to get something for nothing.
Yeah.
I don't
Especially
think,
if it's financial. People need something to get something
I don't think that helps many people. That's my personal view. I feel like a lot of people when you give them help, they actually, it's not, they don't really just want help. They don't want you to give you something for nothing.
Yes.
You find.
They need to
be motivated. They want to feel as though they've earned it, I think it's part of being.
The problem to the story is that jobs are getting away and people don't have meaning in their life anymore. And the rich are just getting richer because they're automating their company. So what do we do with the rest? Because the gap is going to become so big. We just need some sort of we just don't want to have a world where people are starving. I mean, I'm really not into that idea, but I see the argument. I understand what's.
No, I understand the whole greater good argument, but there's certain basic instincts about it being human. Like you don't. I don't think we were designed to float around.
That's true. Yeah.
And not question things. I don't think that, but people might. People are obviously gonna have very diverse views on this. There's no right answer. There's only justifiable ones, or whatever it might be, or answers that people feel like they make more sense now than they used to.
My thing is a good example that I give to this is what do you call it? The people that are on child support or on government support. Those people tend to not make a good use of what they get from there. They just take advantage of it, So the resources are not really used for what you would assume that they would be used for. So I mean the statistics of people who are on child support from the government, is it called child support if you get it from the government? Welfare, on welfare. Those guys would spend money on drugs, on maybe nothing to do with what they're getting the money for. So that's a consequence, So if you have too much of that, I don't know what would happen.
I think it's more demotivating than it is motivating for people. But a lot of people say it's necessary because everyone's entitled to a basic standard of living, and I don't disagree with that. I think it's just the focus probably needs to be on different elements. It's more about empowering oneself as opposed to trying to shelter them from realities.
Cool. So let's end with one Quora question. It says, would becoming homeless be a good strategy to cut costs? And I'll answer that one first. I don't know, honestly, because I've never tried it, but to the direction that I'm going now, I might test it. Because I'm becoming nomadic. I'm becoming nomadic. I'm moving out of my current flat, and I'm selling pretty much most of the things that I have that don't have a huge meaning to me. So it won't become really homeless. I won't become homeless, but I will be in a position where I don't own so many things. So it's going to be an interesting thing to test. Or if I don't find a flat I'm looking still right now, then I might become homeless. What will happen? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think.
But it's not a good strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a financial question. Then it's sort of like that sort of would work. You don't have a lot of costs. You don't have to have furniture. You don't have everything. So purely financial, probably. Yes, definitely. Other ways of looking at it, other costs, emotional costs. How do you deal with yourself? Not having your own place to go back to. You need to square that up in your head. Some people are fine with this. There's a lot. I mean, there's some for example, there's some travelers who, they happy moving from place to place every 6 months. They stay in like different styles of accommodation, whatever it might be, wherever they go, and they're okay, they're fine. And a lot of people can't do that at all.
The very first guy I had on this episode, the guy traveled and he lives outside in his tent. So people must listen to that and see
exactly.
So
I'm saying, like, we've met some interesting characters, and it's plausible, it's possible. So you can't say it's not. Question is, can you handle it? Can you handle it?
Second question is also cost. What do you mean cost? Like you said, cost is not really
financial.
It's not only financial. There's a lot to that.
Social as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's other costs.
And for me, it's I think that poverty is expensive, more expensive than people think. You spend more when you don't have things. Because everything becomes you buy it at a desperate need, from a desperate need. It's like if you don't have a home and you really want to sleep in the house because it's raining, somebody would give you any price and you're gonna take it. It's a silly example, but that's what happens. So I don't think it's a good strategy to cut costs. Cut costs if in terms of financially. I mean, just try to bring the level of your lifestyle a little bit down. Maybe not too many dinners outside and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we can end it there. If anybody has something to say, they can comment and all that.
I mean, these are all random questions.
Yeah. We can always do it if people want.
I think it's so broad that you can have any view. Unfortunately, it's like can be valid in some way or another. So take it with a pinch of salt. I mean, these are the quick answers to rather broad questions that need some thought before you even answer.
Yeah, so we're not experts in home stuff.
I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, but I think it's good to. I think it's probably good. Like, you need to think about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not about. You don't have to come with one definite answer, but just conversation. Yeah. So we're gonna end it here. If you have anything to say, you can shout. Thanks, Rad, for coming.
No worries, man.
We can always do it again.